Hey guys, today I'll be showing you how to take some Roblox items like these knives and add visual effects to them, and definitely upgrade them, which you can use in your games or for any purposes. The first thing you want to do is get items you want to add visual effects to. So I just got these knives from Murder Mystery 2, I think, just from the toolbox. These aren't mine, I just found them. So you're gonna get what you want to edit, and then your handle, is going to be your main concern. Because you have all the meshes in there, stuff like that. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to insert a light, a point light into here, shrink the range down a bit, give it a matching color like to the textures. It's like this kind of looks close. And then you can like play with the brightness a little bit. So this is one way you can like change your items just with the brightness. I mean, look at that. That's a little bright. So I'm gonna bring it down to like a subtle one, like actually makes it look cool and not disruptive. And if you want it, to go further, you just have to change your range to make it go further, and then change the brightness to make it more bright. So I'm going to leave it around 1 with a range of 3. It's not too intense, but I'll actually probably make the range smaller and the brightness a little less. And the next thing you want to do to actually add visual effects is go into your handle. There's a few ways you can do it. First thing you can do is add your particle emitter right into your handle so we can see where it's coming from. Yes, looks like it's coming from one point in the middle of the knife. If you want to change that, you're gonna need to insert an object. Just insert a part into the handle, and then I'm gonna make it centered at the handle, so copy and paste the location. And then I'm gonna make it the same size as the handle, like this. Just so the particles will be around the knife. Just like this is good. This is perfect right here. And this is very important. You need to make it transparent. Turn off collision, so it won't affect your actual knife. And then you can take your particle emitter and then put it into the part, and then it'll go in every direction. Okay, the next thing you want to do is pick a texture for your particle emitter. What I'm gonna do to find a texture is I have these textures over here that I have linked in my Discord. I've compiled a few of these, and this is a pretty big one. But here are some flipbooks that I like. So for flipbooks, I'm probably gonna grab, this one looks pretty cool. I think I made this one. So I'm gonna grab that. Gonna take it back to my knife. So once you find your particle, take it back to your knife, go into your particle emitter, copy and paste your texture, and then you have this. So if you have a flipbook, you're going to want to go to flipbook settings and set up the proper layout. Change the frame rate, make it transparent if there's a black background. I'm going to decrease the speed and the lifetime by a lot. And I'm gonna go in and change the size too. So now we're left with something like this, which I think looks pretty cool. But there's still a lot more that can be done to it. I'm gonna add a rotation speed about 100. And I'm gonna change the flipbooks to one shot so it only loops once. I'm gonna give... Okay, so what I'm gonna do is increase the lifetime, but then decrease the rate and heavily decrease the speed so it doesn't go too far. Probably give it some more speed. And then of course I'm gonna come in here and change the color, make it match. That's beautiful. And I'm gonna mess with the transparency, probably like this, so it gets more visible or less visible towards the end. I don't like it starting off too bright though. So something like this is something you could start with. And then I'm just gonna copy and paste this. It's also important to make sure you give your particles names so you can remember this. I'm just gonna get this half circle big, copy and paste that back into the part. And I'm gonna name this half circle small. And then what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna change the color a bit. And of course, I'm gonna make it smaller. There we go, so it looks a little bit better. And then something I could probably do is make it get smaller as the lifetime goes on. Just like that. And this is actually something I'm gonna do to the big one too. It's important to use sequences to make your visual effects look better, more clean. I'm gonna add a point here where it stays at 1. Okay, so this is a good start. I'm gonna try to find maybe like a wooden texture to like match this like style of the knife. So let me go find that. This is not exactly wooden, but the dirt kind of looks nice. So I'm gonna use this for my next part of the knife. And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna come to the part, insert another particle emitter, and then add the texture. And this is important, I'm gonna make the speed very low, almost 0. You can make the speed very low, maybe like around 0.1, because visual effects definitely look better if they are moving. And I'm gonna make it so transparency, it needs to be pretty high for this one, 0.8, but I'm gonna make it go up to 0.1 towards the top. And I'm gonna make the size get smaller around the bottom. And this is important, I want this to be locked apart, so when I move it, the particle stays on the item and is not dragged around. My purple circles are not locked apart, so when I drag them around, they will in fact not follow the part. And this is like kind of how you make trails for items. So this is definitely something you want to keep in mind when you design stuff like this. Okay, back to the dirt. I'm gonna change the color definitely to be more dark, like that, and match. And turn up light emission. Yeah, that looks really nice. Yeah, so that's something else you can do. Definitely play with these settings and see what works best for yours. And something else I'm gonna do is probably make it, yeah, definitely get smaller towards the top. Definitely want that to show up, and I'm gonna want this maybe have a lower rate, a higher lifetime. Let's see how that affects it. Maybe definitely a higher speed, so we can kind of see it go up. Yeah, that looks nice, because you can kind of see it like bubble above, like smoke above the item, which definitely looks cool. So I definitely like this, but I think these colors are definitely too bright on the circles. So what I'm gonna do is I can't mess with that. Let's see. I can make the colors more black so they don't stand out as much. Yeah, I like that. This color is probably too pink. This looks way better when the colors kind of match and there's nothing really sticking out too intensely. I think I'm gonna add one more locked part visual effect into this part right here to complete this knife, and then we'll move on to the next one. I'm gonna add something like this to it, which is just a texture that's off-centered so it can like kind of spin in a pattern. So I'm gonna go back to my knife and I'm gonna insert a part. Okay, now that we have this, I'm gonna bring the lifetime way down, speed almost to 0, light emission up. I'm gonna bring the size down as well. And so the cool thing about this is I'm gonna make them slowly disappear so they looks nicer. Something like this always looks good, where you bring it to the point up here and you add a point so it slowly fades. Bring the lifetime up and the rate down so you can like really see like each particle individually for what it really is. And then I'm gonna make it have a rotation speed so then it rotates around the point. I'm gonna make it really dramatic so you can see, but you see how it like spins in a circle instead of not spinning at all because the texture is on the side. Remember what I showed you earlier? So I'm gonna bring this rotation speed down, of course, because it's a little intense. And maybe bring the rate up. And then I'm gonna find a color that suits this knife. Put up the rate, I want a little bit more of these. And then for the size, I'll make it so they kind of go away slowly, like over time. They shrink and they vanish. Yeah, that looks nice. And I think I'm gonna give them more speed so they kind of go up, but not too much speed for sure. Okay, so this was the first knife. Okay, so next I'm gonna do the bat scythe. I have an idea for this one. First thing I'm gonna do, yet again, is go into the handle and insert a part. And like I did before, you're gonna make it, I'm actually gonna center this on the handle so it's pretty lined up like that. Make it transparent, turn off collide, touch, and stuff like that. And then make it to the size of the actual knife. This one's a little bit of a weird shape, so you might have to add 2 parts. What I'm gonna do for this is, in here, I'm gonna add 2 attachments. And I want to make a beam circle that goes around the handle. I think that would be pretty cool. So I'm going to put 2 attachments in, put one on the left side and one on the right side, kind of like that. And then I'm going to insert a beam into here. You actually need 2 beams for this, but I'm going to just start with 1. So beam, attachment 0 is one of them. Attachment 1's the other one. So you're gonna have this, and then you want to add a curve side to it. Like, we're gonna play around with the curve side for a bit. Maybe like a 1 or a 2 would be nice. I'm actually gonna come over here and reference this, which I did earlier. So yeah, 1 needs a negative curve side, and 1 needs a positive curve side. So back to my Batwing. So for that, I want of -2 or -4. Let's see. Yeah, they should be on different like axes too, so it looks natural. I'm gonna make it red. Make it a lot skinnier too. Okay, so here, -2 and 2. And I'm going to put them on opposite sides of this. Definitely want to make it smaller. So let's see. I'll bring the attachments closer to one another. Like this. I'm going to increase the transparency a little bit so it looks more natural. And yeah, we'll make it bright, why not? Make the curve a little bit less intense so then it becomes shorter. Alright, so this is good. Alright, now for the fun part, I'm gonna come over here and pick a beam texture. I compiled this. I didn't make these textures, but you can find them in my Discord below. I like this one. This one's always a good one to use. So I'm gonna grab that. Go back to my beams. Okay, now I'm gonna copy and paste the texture. There we go, something like this. Bring my transparency down just for now. And the texture actually made my beam smaller, so I'm gonna increase the size. And actually I'm gonna bring the light emission down so we can see the black parts of the knife, which looks very cool in my opinion. And I want these to be on the same, this is either Z or X axis too, but I want them to be on the same. So bring this one up to 0.88. There we go. So there's that. I'm gonna bring down the speed, the texture speed, to something a little bit slower, because I feel like that matches the Batwing a little bit better. And I'm gonna bring this curve down because I kind of want it to be like a circle. Perfect. Bring this all back over here. This is the lazy way to do it. You can just duplicate this and you can come and rotate it upside down like that. And I need to make the texture go the other way. So take texture speed like that. If you want your textures to blend seamlessly, you're gonna have to get something like this, where the start and texture and the indent texture match. Otherwise, you're gonna be able to see the difference. Alright, so what you can see is that there's actually a little bit of like disconnect here. To hide it, you can kind of just bring your texture speed up a little bit. It'll hide it a little bit. Something else you can do is make the textures face the camera, so that's not as bad. But I do prefer it this way. And let's see what else we can do to hide it. We can bring the light emissions up too, that's something you can do. But for now, this is okay. It's not the end of the world. I'm just gonna take this part, or these attachments, kind of move them around, rotate them a bit. I think I'm gonna add probably a few of them to see how it turns out. Rotate them, just gonna copy and paste it, kind of lazy with it. This is something else you can do to your VFX, just to give it a little bit more flair. You can definitely do it in more tasteful ways than this. This is not my favorite. I'm gonna make it more transparent, kind of hide it. Yeah, it looks way better. And I'm gonna mess with this middle one too, because it's not my favorite position or favorite orientation this way. There we go. Just mess with it a little bit more. Gonna move them all up a little bit. See how that works. It's okay, it's not too bad. We're gonna stop messing with it now, and I'm gonna add some more texture to this. So what I want to add is a flipbook. I have some made over here. Let's see. I'm gonna add something like this to it. I think this could be really cool. I have a video on how to make these. I'll link it in the description below. But what else you can also do is I have some of these textures published in my Discord, so you can just go grab them from my Discord. But to make this easy to follow, I'm just gonna paste this into a part, but you can ignore this for the tutorial. And I'm gonna insert a particle emitter from here. I'm gonna grab this texture, paste it into here, and then you'll be able to follow from here. I'm just gonna grab this texture, delete this one, and I'll paste it into here, so you'll be able to follow the tutorial. So if you're using a flipbook, your brightness needs to be at 1, your light emission, and then you need to select the appropriate grid. And for mine, I'm gonna make sure it's a 1 shot. I'm gonna bring my size way down to like 0.5, and speed needs to pretty much be non-existent, and my lifetime needs to go down along with my rate. And I'm gonna give this a dark red to match the theme of this. Okay, I'm definitely gonna bring the size down a lot more. Something like this is good. And transparency, I'll definitely mess with this. Make it more transparent towards the end, but I do want it to be kind of noticeable and be able to see it. And if I break the lifetime down more, it will make the one shot more prevalent, because it has to flip through in like a faster time, if that makes sense. And maybe I'll break the speed up because it kind of looks cool if it goes into the air. I'm gonna give it a little bit of rotation speed, and I'll make it so it can kind of spawn in any direction like that. It looks okay. Actually, I'll make it way smaller so it doesn't get flipped too much, like that. And I'll make it so it can spread. No, I'll just have it so it can spread towards the top. I like that. I'm gonna make this locked apart so when you drag it, it does not get moved. The light influence down, and then bring the brightness up. And then with transparency, I'll be able to play with the brightness indirectly. So if I want it to be really bright at a certain point, I can just bring it down like this. So then it'll be bright for a bit before it goes back to be more transparent, which is kind of equal to less bright. So I have this, and I'm just gonna make it so it doesn't move as much, so you can really focus on the texture. And then I'll bring the lifetime up to see it disband. See, I like this a lot. And then I'm gonna bring the rate down so there's not as many. Okay, the next thing I'm gonna do is kind of add like a background texture like I did with the dirt. So let me go find a texture over here. When you find a texture like this, you want to pick something that's kind of big and has a lot of like random texture in this. Like this could work, these are all good choices. I'm gonna go with this one here. So I'm gonna get this, go back to my Nightwing, insert object, particle emitter, go to my texture, put that in there. For this, you want the speed to be very low. It's okay to have a big size, but transparency definitely needs to go up. Maybe even pick like a dark color to kind of go with like the bad thing that we have going on. Definitely need this to be really high. Bring the rate down, bring the lifetime down, make it so it can be rotated in any direction, which kind of adds to it a bit. There you can kind of see the black smoke. And I'm actually gonna give it more lifetime, more speed, and then I'll make it so at this point the transparency starts to go all the way like down and away. Make this 0.8 maybe. So there's that for the Nightwing. I'm probably gonna make it so this is a little bit smaller. I'm gonna play around with the color of this. I'm gonna give it a Z offset of like -1. That's just so this like kanji texture will show better over the smoke. And I'm gonna make it so, yeah, I don't like the speed too much. Maybe I'll bring down the rate a bit, bring down the lifetime and bring up the rate. And this texture, this transparency level is not really working for me. I'm gonna bring it up. And let's see, just make it kind of a continuous fade. I think I have to bring the lifetime up and the rate down again. There we go, it's kind of like a casual smoke. And I think I'm just gonna copy these beams over, or these small circles, paste it into this part. Change the colors on these obviously to match the Nightwing. It's like a red maybe. A dark red. I'm gonna turn down the rate a lot. It's looking okay. You can kind of see the circles. So I'm gonna go to the smaller ones, change the colors to like a brighter red so it stands out. And I'm just gonna change up these settings. I'm gonna make all this slower so it's a little bit different. And then these do not follow the knife. So we have that going. And I'm gonna add the small circles also, or maybe I'll do something a little bit different. I'm gonna grab this Flipbook and I'm gonna put it into the Nightwing. I have these available in my Discord as well, So I'm gonna add one last thing to this, which is gonna be a particle emitter. Give it that texture. Alright, perfect. This is a 2x2, correct? I have it on random, like that. Speed, way down. Make it go to any angle. Bring down the lifetime, bring down the rate. Bring down the size a lot. 0.2. Yeah, and then I'm just gonna bring the transparency up towards the end of its cycle. So like this looks alright. Yeah, this looks cool, so I'm actually gonna bring the rate up. Maybe the size down. The size was good there. Yeah, it's like a nice color. You can play with the light emission. I like it darker. I'm actually gonna get this kanji, and I'm gonna make it kind of a darker red if I'm able to. So I'm actually gonna duplicate it and make a smaller version. Maybe like a darker color. Yeah, there we go. That looks cool. Like a darker red. Make it way more transparent so it blends in. And then I'm gonna bring the rate up on the sky. And the lifetime too. So I'm gonna duplicate this part. And then I'm gonna delete all the textures from this one. And then the beams from this one. And I'm gonna make this fit the knife way better. So I'm gonna do two parts, one like this. Duplicate this, and then make this go along the scythe. But first I'm gonna have to adjust the values because the values are not adjusted for this size. So I'm gonna come here to the part, this part, jeez. And I think I'll just bring the rate down for everything. We're gonna half the rates for everything. See if this fixes our problem. We can always go back and change it if we need. So this is the new rate for that. And I'm gonna duplicate this and bring it down to the body of the knife. Come here, and I'm gonna rotate this so it goes along the knife. Like that. And you can see it's covered in like a different way now. If you see these two parts, that covers the knife instead. And these aren't locked to parts, so you're gonna have a lot of particles following it. What I would do is I'm gonna make the big red one locked. Yeah, this one. Okay, so I went ahead and locked the part, so now just have the small ones following it. So that pretty much covers the basic on how to improve knives or items or any guns really in Roblox using visual effects. Actually, I can add a point light to this one. I'm just gonna paste it in there and I'm gonna make it red. Yeah, there we go. Looks cool. Gonna drag it over here so they're not touching each other. And maybe I bring up the brightness a little bit. Not too much. Or even increase the range and make the brightness pretty dull. Maybe something like that. There we go. So yeah, these are pretty general ways to improve knives or any objects in Roblox using visual effects, beams, particle emitters, lights, and stuff like that. For comparison, this is the start result in these knives, and this is what we ended on, which I think we did a pretty good job. So let me know if this was helpful, and I'd really appreciate it if you could hit that like button and subscribe. It really helps me out. It keeps me motivated. Alright, have a good one. Peace.